Hello, everybody, and welcome to Red Wings Daily, presented to you by FanArch. I'm your host, Kirk MckNight, author of The Voices of Hockey, Broadcasters Reflect on the Fastest Game on Earth, coming to you from the southwest corner of Washington State, 2,454 miles from Little Caesars Arena. Now, the Red Wings will be back in action at LCA tomorrow night, taking on the Vegas Golden Knights, a team that I followed from day one back in Vegas. We'll have a little bit of a preview of that game tomorrow in tomorrow's show. But first, let's have a little bit of recap of the last game of the Red Wings road trip before heading back to LCA. That's right, they played the Nashville Predators, and I'd mentioned in yesterday's show that it was going to be an early start time to basically cater to the European viewers. So any of those Europeans who are over there in the late afternoon tuning in right now, hello to you, and thanks for tuning in. The rest of you, if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, please do. I feel like the subscriptions have been kind of petering in right now, and I've been really reaching out to a lot of the, group boards and things like that on social media. But if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do. Obviously, we see that we're back in action. The Red Wings are back in full stride right now, playing every other game. You know, we had our 3.5 week furlough there, and I basically filled in the time by creating a whole storyline of depleted rivalry. Okay, so we're not at that anymore. We're back in action. And it starts here with the Red Wings and the Predators last night. Actually, should I say yesterday afternoon? But still, here we go. It started off with Finney getting his 10th goal of the season. So that put the rookie in double digits. It was his first goal. And I believe I said it was his first goal since, December 23rd. So 2.5 months, granted, obviously 3 weeks of that 2.5 months was a furlough for everybody, but still, that is a long time. He had a lot of promise to me, obviously not like the rookies over there in Montreal that are really going to just run away with the Calder Trophy. One of the two of them will, but he still was factoring in a lot. I saw him score a goal when I saw him in Seattle back in early December, and you thought, okay, this guy we got coming, and he really hadn't scored until last night. So he got us on the board, 1-0. Believe we had a second goal. Eds basically had scored a goal, but looked like it got overturned. So basically it went from being 2-0 to 1-1. So a 2-goal swing there because Forsberg got a goal and put the Predators on the board. And somewhere after that, Gibby gets injured, takes a puck hard to his shoulder, and he leaves with an upper body injury. The good news on that, let's spare all the suspense. Looks like McClellan said after the game that it didn't seem to be too serious. So I know a lot of Red Wings fans seeing him leave the ice were thinking, oh my gosh, there goes our season maybe. I don't know, panic mode, whatever. Because Taubes had lost 4 in a row. So in comes Taubes to basically in relief. And he faced 19 shots. He only let 1 behind him, and he got the win. So there's a positive. Looks like Gibby might not be too badly hurt or too badly broken up. We'll see if he's able to play tomorrow night back at LCA against the Vegas Golden Knights. But in the meantime, order kind of restored. The Red Wings basically went down 2-1 on Jonathan Marchessault's goal in the second period. I'm a big fan of Marchessault, but I definitely don't want him beating me or beating the Red Wings. But that wasn't even going to happen. Lucas Raymond tied it back up. Aljo got a go-ahead goal, ended up being the game winner, and then DeBrincat basically seals it all up with an empty netter. So goal-wise, Finney, I already said, is in double digits. Raymond had his 20th of the season, so they're good for Raymond. Maybe he might get a 30-goal season this season. I don't know. He's been hot. He's been on the assist always. But, yeah, another 2 points for him today to pad his lead over DeBrincat for the team leading points. But, yeah, he's up at the 20-goal mark right now, so good for him as well. And then DeBrincat got number 31 to push himself 3 ahead of Larks. Larks had 2 goals the other night against Ottawa to kind of inch a little bit closer to DeBrincat. DeBrincat's not having any of that, so we got one at 31 and one at 28 right now. And for all I care, just both of you score every game for the rest of the season. I don't really care who wins the race in this one. You're both winners if you both basically keep scoring every night. So penalty kill, we were 2 for 3 on the penalty kill and 0 for 2 on the power play. The last thing I will mention from the night was the fact that Marco and Appy Both had 2 assists each. So good contributions all around from the Red Wings on this one. On those 4 goals, we had a lot of contribution here on the offensive side to help back Taubes in there as he basically got that 4-game losing streak in his rearview mirror, and he finally won for the first time in quite a while. He's been basically not been playing hardly at all. Coming into play on Carolina, that was a surprise to me, but maybe it's a good thing he came into play because he had a little bit of time on the ice to prepare him for an unexpected emergency entrance in yesterday's game. So it's Tuesday. With it being Tuesday, that means it's Tantrum Tuesday, folks. I wasn't able to really delve into anything from yesterday's game. There weren't really any penalties or any fights or anything crazy like that happening. I think there was 3 penalties on the Red Wings and 2 penalties on the Predators. So pretty, mellow game. Sorry, Europe. I'm sorry you had to basically view a mellow game. I'm sorry that's the one we gave you, but I guess from our standpoint, no suspensions and nobody got hurt. Anyway, but to get to Tantrum Tuesday, I had to delve into some other parts of the league. Went back on Saturday, basically, to Philadelphia versus Boston. Now, the backstory of this is I wrote this out phonetically because it's like DeLoreans, but his name is Delorier. And Nick Delorier from Philadelphia, basically had a fight about halfway through the first period of Saturday's game between the Bruins and the Flyers. And the fight was with the enforcer of the Bruins, Tanner Jeannot. So this was one of those preordained fights. It was foregone conclusion. They're already talking about it during pregame skate, probably just chirping each other right there around mid-ice. But basically, Jeannot was out for blood because Delorier had basically a pretty hard hit against Pavel Zacha in January. So this was one of those, hey, circle this date on the calendar, let's settle the score, and then let's get on with the game. And that's exactly what they did. Hockey Fights gave the fight to Tanner Jeannot, about 85%. Basically, and watching the fight, yeah, I kind of agree with that. He landed a lot more punches. He didn't seem to have the reach or not, but he was able to connect pretty well. He was able to get an angle in there and connect on a few pretty hard, straight up clocks right to the mouth or to the chin. And yeah, I definitely agree with that on Hockey Fights. Sometimes you want to give a little bit less of a discrepancy between the two, but it was kind of hard to say not. And so obviously everybody's happy. Revenge is exacted and the score is settled. So it was one of the better fights that was available on Hockey Fights. They rate them, and I looked at it and looking over how far we're going back just 2 or 3 days. So it was ranked about a 7.6, whereas most of the rest of them were 3s. And yeah, I guess it did seem to be like a 7.6. It wasn't like a throwback fight from like the 60s and 70s where there's a yard sale in the corner of the ice with everybody's sticks, gloves, pads, and helmets all there just accumulating blood. But it still was a decent enough fight. It was decent enough for the players to sit there and slap the sticks on the boards once it was all done and the refs had broken it up. But yeah, the fight goes to Jeannot, and Delorier probably knew this was going to happen ever since he laid that hit on Zacha almost 2 months ago. So folks, obviously I say that there's radio silence on the Detroit switchboard because it seems like we have not made any moves yet. There's always talk, and the thing is, a lot of times on these social media things, it's a lot of clickbait. And I know that you guys are probably sitting there saying, yeah, clickbait's everywhere. But it seems like everybody wants you to think that the Red Wings are about to do this huge deal. I keep waiting for something because I know that Stevie Y is he's biding his time, but I just see one trade after another. None of the big ones have been taking place. None of the ones that I basically have circled on my card for yes, please, or anything like that. But yesterday there was a trade between Edmonton and Chicago. Edmonton got Connor Murphy for a second-round pick in the 2028 draft. So did not give up much at all to get this defenseman. There was already talk in the boards about Edmonton looking for a defenseman and a solid center. So there's your defenseman. We'll see if they go after a center or not. I kind of think that Edmonton may sense that the Golden Knights are faltering a little bit, and they really are. Mark Stone's injured, so maybe Edmonton's looking to have this to be a time to pounce and basically take that division, maybe get a higher seeding. I don't know. The Golden Knights, don't count them out. But yes, there's a little bit of an injury going on right now, and I don't even know if Mark Stone's going to be injured for a long time. But that just shows Edmonton basically looking to tune up and make a deep playoff run once again. Other talk is, still on the board are Nazem Kadri, Les Pedersen, some of the other possibilities, and there have definitely been ones that have been echoing around Detroit, are Robert Thomas, Ryan O'Reilly, Jordan Kyrou, Steven Stamkos. Now, this one was interesting. I had not seen this one before tonight, but Mark Zibanejad, that is a name that I definitely gets my attention, folks. Another one is Yigo Sharangovich, and I just don't want him to go to the Red Wings just because I don't want to have to say his name 5 times during this show throughout the week. But those are still the names that are still out there on the board, still possible targets for the Red Wings. Who knows? You definitely get my attention with Mark Zibanejad. Obviously, Nazem Kadri is one that we have been kind of focusing on. A lot of the NHL fans have been focusing on him and figuring that he's leaving Calgary somewhere or another. Is he going to come to Detroit? Is he going to go where? I don't know. But if he's not one, and the fact that Mark Zibanejad is now entering the conversation, to me, those are basically 2 wins for us, 2 upgrades offensively for one of the centers. And speaking of that leads us to our last segment of the day, because while I've been on social media looking at some things, it has said that Stevie Y's kind of showcasing. Now I say show pony, but showcasing Michael Rasmussen, gave him a little bit more time in the game yesterday. Just for he played 17 minutes and 29 seconds in yesterday's game. The only 2 players other than defensemen that had that much playing time are right here behind me in bobblehead form on my shelves, and that's Lucas Raymond right there, 2nd floor, and Dylan Larkin, 3rd floor. But obviously Rasmussen, they're trying to get him some reps or whatever it is, and the criticism is that they're basically showcasing him to lure him, kind of like a carrot, using him as a carrot to lure into the other GMs to see if they'd be willing to offer something for him. So that's what a lot of people's takes have been. I don't know if that's skeptical. I don't know if that's just hearsay. I don't know if that's just bogus, whatever. But he did get a couple of blocks yesterday. He had a couple shots on goal. He's not used to having too much going on in those kinds of things. But, yeah, when you have 17 minutes and 29 seconds of ice time, you definitely have your fair share of everything. But on the sheet, though, looking on the sheet. Now, that's the only reason I bring this up, because on the scoring sheet, he hasn't scored a single point in almost 2 months. It's been quite a while. So that's why you sit there and say, well, why is he getting 17 minutes and 29 seconds of playtime when other players are getting 10, 12, 14, and 15? Well, that's because, I don't know, that's probably why people are pointing that out. And we may see Ras on a couple more on those higher lines just to get that more playing time between now and Saturday, just to see if somebody is possibly looking to pick him up and add him to their roster. I don't know. If that's Stevie Y's plan, I'm hoping that as a result of that we get a solid center in place of Rasmussen. See, he doesn't score that much, but that doesn't mean just completely, rid yourself of him. But if it means getting a player like Zibanejad, getting a player like Kadri to come into that position and get in that point, fine, I'll take it. But in the meantime, give the man his dignity a little bit. Maybe he likes this. Maybe he wants to have a little bit more playing time. Maybe he wants to be playing on a higher line somewhere else, and he's okay with this. I don't know. But obviously it's basically, hair lip the governor as far as the social media and all these other chat boards that are saying it, because they realize that that's what he's doing. You get the mention on Score Mobile that's like Stevie Y showcasing Rasmussen. So Big Ras, you may be on your way out. I don't know. But we'll just see. There's still a couple of days until the trade deadline's over. I guess 3 by my count, and we'll have to see if anything happens. But all quiet on the Western Front right here, as far as Red Wings going for any basically trade deadline beating action. This has been our show, folks. Tomorrow we'll have a little bit of a preview of the Vegas Golden Knights game, see who might be healthy or not, see if Gibby's going to be back in the crease or not, and see if Stone's going to be on the other side of the faceoff circle. But in the meantime, this has been Red Wings Daily, presented to you by FanArch. I'm your host, Kirk MckNight, LGRW from the PNW.